Panorama News here on Nile TV International, and I'm Nancy Sarah Barrowcat. Let's start off with a look at the news making headlines today. The Ministry of Civil Aviation to hold a press briefing on the probe investigating the ill-fated Russian plane. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his Russian counterpart agreed to further cooperation and to resume Russian flights to Egypt soon. The Minister of Civil Aviation, Hossein Kamel, and pilot Ayman al-Muqaddim, head of a committee investigating the doomed Russian plane crash, are set to hold a conference later today. The senior officials are expected to announce the latest regarding the ongoing investigations into the crash and the evidence that the investigative team has gathered so far. The five-member committee includes an Egyptian team investigating the accident, together with Russian experts, as well as French and German officials representing the company manufacturing the Airbus 321. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi agreed with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to resume Russian flights to Egypt as soon as possible. During a telephone conversation, the two leaders also to further cooperation to ensure the overall effectiveness of security measures at Egyptian airports. Presidential spokesman Alaa Yousaf said that both Sisi and Putin had agreed to provide Russian tourists with the utmost security and to boost security on Russian flights. The conversation came after sources close to the investigative probe said black box data from the Russian plane indicated it was bombed ahead of a first update from the Egyptian-led investigation into the disaster. Earlier, Moscow decided to suspend passenger flights to Egypt, and the United States imposed new air travel security requirements in the wake of the crash of the Russian jet. A spokesman for the Kremlin said that the move does not indicate that the plane crash was due to a terrorist attack, adding that the Russian president had instructed his government to secure the safe return of Russian nationals. While no official investigation has confirmed the bomb claims, several countries have been cancelling flights and announcing new proposals. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security announced new security measures, including the tighter screening of items before they are brought on board aircraft for flights to the United States from some foreign airports in the region. In other news, airport security officials in Sharm el-Sheikh said an airplane carrying 86 people has left from the airport. They added that another 113 passengers were left behind because they didn't want to leave their luggage in Egypt. Meanwhile, the Russian State Tourism Authority said that around 79,000 Russians are in Egypt, mainly in the resorts of Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh. It added that Moscow was not evacuating its nationals, but providing planes to transfer those who had already spent their holiday in Egypt. 21 flights from across the world have arrived in Sharm el-Sheikh International Airport today. Meanwhile, all British airlines are operating 8 flights to carry their tourists back home, while the remaining flights will be flying over the coming days. For their part, authorities at Sharm el-Sheikh Airport said they would assign a cargo plane to transfer the luggage of all British tourists after the British Airlines said they would not allow them on board. The Ministry of Civil Aviation, Hossein Kamel, said that Egypt is fully cooperating with Britain regarding the safety of its nationals in line with international security standards. Egypt criticized its foreign partners for ignoring calls to work harder to combat terrorism. The comments were made by Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry during a press conference with his Hungarian counterpart. Shoukry added that Cairo has yet to receive intelligence upon which other countries base their decision to ground all flights to the Red Sea resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh.
Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said the country was not dismissing any scenario that led to the Russian plane crash, but there was no hypothesis yet from a probe into the disaster. In a press conference after meeting with visiting Hungarian Foreign Minister, Shoukry said the foreign intelligence suggesting the crash was caused by a bomb had not until now been provided to the Egyptian security services. The top diplomat blamed the international community for not cooperating enough with Egypt on eliminating terrorism, reiterating that Cairo is shouldering its responsibility to secure all foreign visitors. He said his country did not receive the intelligence upon which each other's countries base their decisions to ground all flights to Sharm el-Sheikh airport. Shoukry noted that Egypt expected that the information available will be communicated instead of being broadcast in the media. He thanked Hungary for not rushing into the decision that may negatively affect the Egyptian economy, referring to the measures by several foreign companies to reroute their flights over Egypt. The top diplomat said that Hungary took into account long bilateral relations and its partnership with Cairo in a way that does not affect the interests of both sides. Shoukry said European countries had not given Cairo the cooperation it was hoping for, adding that Egypt's past calls for cooperation and coordination from the countries that were now facing the danger had not been dealt with seriously. Shoukry went on to say that he discussed with Hungary's foreign minister bilateral cooperation and agreed to cooperate in the railways sector and benefiting from the scholarships provided by Budapest.
Another news, Minister of Irrigation Hossein Moghezi said that the rate of progress in the construction of Ethiopia's Renaissance Dam surpasses the course of negotiations with Egypt and Sudan. In his keynote speech at the 9th round of talks between the ministers of irrigation from Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia on Addis Abeba's Renaissance Dam, Moghezi reiterated that Egypt rejects a proposal to assign one consultancy firm to carry out the required studies on the dam, noting that it had been agreed that two firms would undertake the studies. He added that Egypt insists on its historical water rights while backing the development interests of other riparian countries. Earlier, Moghezi met with his Ethiopian counterpart, who arrived into Egypt on Friday, to attend the discussions over the dam's impact on Egypt and Sudan. The senior officials will also discuss the existing disputes between the two firms assigned to carry out studies on the dam. To regionally related news, the U.S. Air Force's Command Center said Washington and coalition forces are likely to increase airstrikes against Daesh targets in Iraq and Syria in coming weeks after a decrease in September and October. Lieutenant General Charles Brown told reporters at the Dubai International Air Chiefs Conference that the reduction in airstrikes was due to weather conditions and to a slowdown in activity